Good evening and welcome to the Trading the Tech Show. My name is Derek and this is iLi Academy. Today is Sunday and it's December 6th already. So this month is kind of moving by fairly quickly, but it's good to get ready to get started for a new week of trading. We can definitely, you know, had some excitement going on last week as far as our trading went. Very good volatility in the markets, and we got a lot of movement that helped us gain a bunch of pips. So um, I'm glad to be able to do the show. I think Thursday evening we had a power outage in the building, and so we didn't get power back in time to actually be able to do the show. So apologize for that. I didn't want to miss again tonight. I actually just got in like literally about 6 minutes ago, got in from being at the ER all day with my friend. So, but I was determined to get back here to try to do the show. And, because we missed on Thursday. So, and of course, the beginning of the week, we definitely want to be able to do, a full show. I did want to point out, I did put on the blog today, but we did add a couple of things to the website. We added the web charts, and that's powered by TradingView. So if you watch some YouTube videos for traders and things, you see this software a lot, TradingView software. So I did sign up for an account with them. It's just another way of looking at things. What I'm going to use it for primarily is my long-term charts. So I've got to set up a template already so that I can look at the long-term versus on my MetaTrader, which is a 30-minute chart. I've got my trading view set up to view things on like a daily chart, so that we get that 720 EMA is actually going back to 720 days. It's the average of 720 days. So that's going to give us a little bit of insight on direction itself for the pair, and then we had like the intraday direction as well. So sometimes that can be a little bit different, but it's another way just to kind of filter your trades just a little bit. So yeah, so we have the web charts here. I'll go there really quickly, show you that. Now, I had to kind of size it for mobile too, because this, of course, most people are using the mobile version of our website. They're using their phones and things like that. So that's why it's not filling out the whole page. But typically you can make this larger. I don't know exactly where just yet, but typically you can take these charts and pop them out and make them larger, especially if you're using their service. So, but I thought I'd put it on the website just as a way for us to have a charting abilities on the website. You can see here it's got the crosshair, or you can change to an arrow. I pretty much like an arrow. You can add effects on it, or indicators, and then you can change like the time frames and all that stuff for it too. So it's very good. I like the software package. I've always kind of liked it, and didn't have a real need for it just because it was because I do have MetaTrader 4, but I had been looking for something that was fairly comprehensive, that as a charting software that will allow us to see the overall trend. So that's kind of what I was looking for more than anything, and then this software actually kind of provided that for me. So we have the charts there. Got a couple other things. We have Forex ratings as well. So the ratings are good because they're kind of telling you, these are tied to O&A as well. So the ratings are going to kind of tell you what the analysts believe about a particular pair, whether it's, whether it's bullish, bearish, is it, a buy, a sell, is it neutral? You can change the time frames here as well. So right now, it's showing on a day chart, but if I go down here to a 1 hour chart, it may move just a little bit, right? Or go to a 15-minute chart and it may move just a little bit. So it really just depends on the time frame, the chart time frame, all of that that you have here. But I've got it for all the pairs all the way down, pretty much all the pairs that we trade. So you can get this right on your telephone as well with this particular page. Now, other than that, we also have the screener. And the Forex screener is going to, you can set certain parameters for it, and it's going to show you, um, buy sell ratings on the particular pairs. There's lots of things. You can add different filters and things to it. If you want the ask above a certain value or below a certain value, you can have that, and this will just kind of filter the trades according to what you want it to have. So there are a lot of, or not the trades, but at least the pairs. So there's lots of pairs on here, some that we don't even use, but you might want to just take a look at it and just keep an eye on what the ratings are for those pairs when you're actually trading. So it's just tools. And then we have a market data tab as well. And that's just giving you things like the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the Nikkei, the FTSE, the indices, and then you have some commodities, you have some bonds as well, that are on here as well. So if you just have your mobile phone or your tablet, you're able to access these things pretty quickly, and all in kind of the same place, all in the same website. It makes it easier to be able to see all of that in one place. And if you have multiple, like a computer at home or something with multiple screens or whatever, you can take some of these, you can pop out maybe this tab and slide it to a different window and use it that way, on your other screen, that type of thing. So I'm just adding some things. I thought it would be cool to add some of those things. We didn't quite have that on this website yet. So I was like, okay, here's a way, here's somebody who's providing it, that's reputable, that's probably going to be around a while. And we can get that information from. And I just don't like, I'm just very much not, interested in partnering with companies that I don't think are going to be around long, because the clients, they get to depend on some of that information, and then all of a sudden this company just disappears or goes out of business, and we're out of luck or we're out of gas, because now we've got to find this information all over again. So I really try, if I'm going to do anything on the website, it's going to be something that's going to be around a while. So let's get into our charts really quickly here, and we'll just kind of go through the charts, see where we are today. We do remember that it is Sunday night, so we're going to continue, to look at the pairs, but at the same time, we're going to, temper our trading just a little bit on it, just remembering the fact that we haven't started yet for the week. So direction's not really going to be manifest itself until maybe tomorrow night, maybe Monday night. Then we'll have a better idea of what's the direction, right? So here, this is the Aussie CAD on the 30-minute chart. We can see that now we're trading below our 720. So we really did fall down below our 720 here. Previously, we had a trend to the upside here, but all of our moving averages except for our 200 have fallen below the 720. So now we're really just waiting for pullbacks. The 100 just jumped below the 720 just a little bit. So it didn't, it's got to get some separation here before we use that as our area to short. So I want to see this develop just a little bit more. I want to see that 100 get down below the 720 a little bit more, so that if the rate passes the 100, then we've got a little bit of space. But if I was going to do anything, now I'd have to short maybe on the 50, when it pulls back past the 50, then I would short there. But we're very, very close to the 720. So I really kind of want to see this commit and set up first, before I go and jump into a trade. Now I did have this buy stop order here that was out front here. Would have been maybe on our 50 here where I placed it, right? So that's typically where I placed it, but now you see the 50s all the way down here. So this order no longer should stand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click and delete the order. Okay. So that's how we do that. That's very, very simple. It's not, something difficult to do. And that's, one of the ways I'm saying that you manage this. And if you had placed a market order right there, then you'd be riding this trade all the way down to the bottom, and that's not what you want to do. So by placing a pending order, we have the opportunity to miss getting put into the trade in a very, very bad spot, So looking at this Aussie yen, if I go ahead and shorten this up just a little bit, I'm going to move these controls so that they're not in my way. Okay, great. So we see that we're above our 720 here. We have been above the 720 since the last part of November, at least. And so we've been kind of cruising right along here. And we've got a full trend to the upside here. Our 8 is just kind of crossing over our 21 right now. Let me widen that out for us here. And but we're pulling back and we're sitting right now on the 100. So for me, as a buyer here, because we're above the 720, all the action in the preferred directions above the 720, I would right click here near my 50 and put a buy stop there, right around that 77.31 area or so. So that's where I would be interested in buying at, because my idea is that we're going to continue our momentum to the upside. So that's the preferred direction. Now, as far as the Aussie New Zealand, we're trading above our 720 now. So our moving averages are starting to leak over. Our 50 is over the top. Our 100 and our 200 are not. So I'm going to leave this as is. If I did anything, I would short on this 200. That's pretty much the only trade that I would take at this point. There, because our orders have not, because our moving averages have not, eclipsed the 720 yet. There's always that chance that it may return, because these are the longer term trends are all to the downside, right? So we'll have to see if it really has committed to being, rate is committed to being over the 720. Then the moving averages will jump over the 720 as well, and then we have a whole different ball game to the upside. But right now I don't have that. So at best, what I would do is, because the rate would commit to a move back below the 720, I drop my order to sell here on this 200. Okay. If it does return, then there's a lot of movement or opportunity to the downside. Now, looking at the Aussie US, we see that we are above our 720, which is way down here. So we're bullish on this particular pair. We're waiting on pullbacks past our 100. You see that we got one here, past the 50 or the 100. So we got past the 50 here, then we dropped down past the 100 here, and then we could have bought either on the 100 or on the 50. We're gonna have a profitable trade, and right now, we'd be looking at a bit of a profitable trade, and looking for this to continue itself and to extend the trend. So with these, sometimes something I see here is that this high here did not break this high. So that's telling me that there's the possibility that this, even though we got this nice run up, it's going to maybe be stunted a little bit. So I'm going to break even a little bit quicker on a trade like this, just to make sure that it doesn't go back negative against me. And even if, we're above the 720, I just don't want to wait forever for it to have to come back if I can avoid it. So I'll just break it even, take whatever pips it gives me. I don't care if it's 1 pip or 2. If it gives me those, fine, I get out. I'm not riding this down, and then waiting for it to come back, because that just takes away from my free margin that's there for the next trade. Now, as far as the CAD yen, we're trading above our 720 here. We've got a full mature trend to the upside. We're getting a little bit of a pullback now, but we're waiting on a pullback past our 50 or past our 100 to give us a shot at a trade higher. We haven't had that since the 3rd. On the 3rd, we actually got this pullback past the 200, and then we have this move to the upside. Switch yen, same thing, right? So we're trading above our 720 here. We're just waiting on a pullback past our 50 or past our 100. Right now, the rate is sitting directly on the 50 right here. So we're going to have to wait until it gets down deeper, maybe closer at least to this 100, before I drop a buy order here on the 50. As far as the Euro Aussie, you see that we're trading above our 720. We have a nice pullback going on here. We pull back past the 50 and the 100. So we could have placed our order on here on this 50 or 100 as we go. And right now it looks like we'd probably be getting ready to enter that trade, or we would have already entered it on the previous candle. So our buy would be here in this area here, right around this 163.36 area. And so our expectation is that it should continue to the upside because everything is above our 720. Now it is close to the 720. So if the rate comes down and drops and goes below the 720, then that's the point I would consider getting out of the trade and saying maybe, I don't want to take a chance on the trade. Or I can hold out. It really is up to you. If you want to hold out, it's possible that it may return back to its upward trajectory. Now, as far as the Euro CAD, we see that we're trading below our 720 here. We've got, seems like a nice little move there, a bunch of red candles kind of coming on down, but our moving averages primarily are above the 720. So my idea here is that we may return to this previous trend that was above the 720. So even though it fell like a waterfall here, doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. So I can place it here, an order here to buy on, say, our 50. Or maybe here on the 100 or 200. So because they're kind of right in the same area. Euro Swiss, you see that the rate is hugging the 720 a little bit. It just kind of broke through. All the moving averages except for the 8 and 21 are above the 720. So we got our 50, 100, and 200 above the 720. So this may very well go back into an uptrend as well, or at least jog up too if it crosses back over this 720. So I'd be a buyer maybe here in the middle at this 100 because the range that it trades in typically is not super, super far. If you look here, you see the range is not all that far. Here, the range is not super far. Here, the range was not super far either. So, so it's a short run. So I don't want to go too deep into my moving averages because I feel like maybe that's limiting the run that I have and the pips that I'm going to have. So I'd probably split the difference and use the 100 sitting here at this 108.21 area as my buy point. And we'll see how many pips we get at 10, 15 pips. We're happy. It is the Euro Swiss. Now, as far as the Euro Pound, we are trading above the 720 now. We did dip down below the 200, and so we could have placed our order here on the 100 or the 50, and we'd have a profitable trade at this point in time. We see the moving averages starting to straighten out again. Maybe once they get some distance, then it'll go a little bit stronger to the upside. However, we'll have to wait for a pullback now past the 50 or the 100 before we're interested in buying. As far as the Euro Yen, we're here trading above the 720, of course. We see that we've pulled down now. The rate is sitting on our 100 moving average, but our 50 is up here around 126.32. So if I'm doing anything here, I would place a buy order at the 50, which sits about 126.32 or so. Now, Euro New Zealand, you see that we're trading above our 720. So our 720 is down here. Our 200 just jumped over the 720, so it doesn't have a lot of separation yet. It's a very young trend here. We've got the 8 trying to jump back over the 21, so it looks like we can create a full trend here, a mature trend here, and not too long from now, as long as we continue to get some movement up. We did get this move down to the 100 here, but it didn't eclipse it. But we could have bought here on our 50, and we would have had a profitable trade going. So now we have to wait for the next one to kind of show up, and it will. As far as the Euro US goes, we're trading here above our 720. We've got this nice move to the upside going on here. So we had a pullback here below the 100 earlier today. So we could have placed an order to buy maybe on this 50 or even on this 21 or, maybe here on the 100 if you wanted to, depending how deep it was here, if you caught it or not. So right now we'd pretty much be entering our order on the 50 for a ride to the upside. As far as pound Aussie goes, we're trading below our 720. Now, recently we were above the 720, kind of spiked up beyond that, and then we fell right back down. So this is what I'm talking about, not going too close or not being too enamored with the fact that it jumped over the 720. Even if the rate jumps over the 720, we've got to kind of look at the moving averages. What did the moving averages do? The only one that jumped over was our 8. So that almost doesn't even count. That's really pretty much the rate. So the 21, the 50, and the 100 and 200 did not even go over the 720. So that's what triggers you to know that this is probably coming back on this side of the 720. So I should be shorting here. We could have shorted on the 50, the 200, or the 100, wherever that was at that point in time. We could have, taken an order there to short, and we'd have been profitable. Now the pound CAD is trading well below our 720 here. We've got a nice mature trend to the downside. All of our moving averages are starting to widen out here, but we did pull quite a ways past our 50 away from it. So I imagine that we're going to trail back at some point and try to breach the 50. If we do that, then if we do it deep enough, we can sell here as well. We can sell on those levels. As far as pound Swiss, we are trading well below our 720. And we've got a full mature trend to the downside developing here. So anytime we pull back past our 100 or past our 50, then we're going to be looking to drop in order to sell on the 50 or the 100 in those areas. Okay. As far as the pound Aussie, we're trading the pound yen, I'm sorry, we're trading above our 720, right? And so we've got a pullback going. Right now, the rate is sitting on the 200. So that means that we can place our buy orders here on our 100 or also here on our 50 because that is the upside is the preferred direction. So that's where we can buy. As far as the pound US, let's go over here. As far as the pound US, we got some trend lines and things that we had drawn before. So maybe let's see if we can get rid of them or not. Let's see, let me go to, I can right click, go to my objects list. And there we go, trend lines and rectangles, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and kill all of that. Just check them all, delete them, delete. And there we go, right? So now we can see we're trading well above our 720. We traded down here to our 200 moving average. So while it was down there, we could have placed our order to buy at this 100 or also an order to buy here at the 50. Either way, that's good. That's a good order for us to buy there. As far as New Zealand CAD, we traded down below our 720, kind of just fell right through it. And so now our moving averages are trying to jump over. Our 50 jumped over, our 100 is meeting the 720 right now. The 200 is lagging behind just a little bit as expected, but we want to see these all develop to the downside and below the 720 before we really commit to a short trade. The 100 is not even over the 720 yet, so I'm not interested in selling there just yet or creating a sell order. And even if it pulls back, if it's not too far past that 720, then it's going to be a little tough, right? So to place that order. So we got to kind of wait for that to set up for us. So if anything, if I had to place a trade right now, I'd be a buyer here on this 200. So as the main moving averages, the larger ones are still in order, or basically above our 720. They're not in order to the upside, but they're above the 720. So this move, we'd have to watch and see whether this exhausts itself or not. If it doesn't, then fine. Then our moving averages should reflect that by jumping below our 720. And then that's going to give us an opportunity. Now, as far as the New Zealand Swiss, we're trading right below our 720. All the moving averages are below except for our 200. So this is kind of like the situation we saw in the last chart, just hadn't quite developed yet. So as this pulls back past our 200, past our 50 and past our 100, then at that point, then I'd be interested in shorting. But it might be just a little bit before that occurs. As far as the New Zealand yen, we are trading, I think it's New Zealand, so it's all above the 720. You can see that there. All the moving averages are above the 720 here. We're starting to kind of cross over the 100 below the 200. That's fine. We're still buyers here just because we're above our 720. So we're interested in buying on either our 50 or on our 100. So the 100 and 200 are in the same place, sitting there around 73.42 and a half. Or we can drop it down here to the 50 around this 73.34 mark. And if it reverts back to the trend, then we should have a nice move up. As far as the New Zealand US, you can see that we know that we're trading above the 720 on the New Zealand US. We have the rate down here trading below our 200 now. And so we can place an order either on this 50, the 200, or the 100 to buy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and place my order. Maybe I'll place it on the 200. I'll kind of split the difference a little bit. I'm going to buy stop there. All right. And so if the rate commits itself to a move back in the direction of trend, then we get placed in the order and hopefully we ride it up. Now here's our US dollar CAD. I'm trading well below, the rate's trading well below the 720. All the moving averages are in order to the downside. And so we have a full mature trend here. We're just waiting on a pullback to our 100 or our 200. We're dollar bears. So that means that our whole bias is really for dollar weakness. So we're sellers of the dollar anytime that occurs. Anytime we get these movements back to the 50 or to the 100, it's good money for us to sell, at least, in the current market condition. US dollar Swiss, we're trading below our 720, kind of the same thing as our US dollar CAD. Only we've kind of flattened out here. So we're going to, we did get a pushback past the 100 or past the 50 towards the 100. So we could have shorted here on the 50. We just be slightly profitable at this point in time. But if the momentum continues in the downward stroke, then we should be good for our short trade. US dollar yen, you can see that we're trading below our 720. We jumped below the 720 back here on the 3rd. We went back, kind of tested it a couple of times, and it's actually held as a resistance for us. And now we're headed back down, right? So this is kind of reverse. This is almost a reverse. Oh boy. Our reverse bounce trade, breakout bounce. I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank here. So I'm like, I know what the word is, but so this is kind of a reverse breakout bounce because we came here, we created this peak, we ended around here, we created a new peak that didn't break the previous, and so we could have shorted here, right? Because our expectation is that when it does that and it doesn't break the previous, it's going to go the opposite direction. We kind of had that here too. We had a low, it rolled around, created another low, but didn't break. And so we traded off to the upside. So that's another pattern here. So we have it here again. And now this works for us. We could have shorted that and take that breakout bounce to the bottom, to the downside as a short, because we're trading underneath our 720. So that's not something that we want to forget. So when we see opportunities like that, then we know that there's more things in our favor. There's more of our philosophy is in our favor. That's another thing that we can add. So if this happens and we're above the same exact situation happened, but this 720 happens to be down here, then I'm a little more skeptical because that's not really in the direction of the trend, right? That at that point it's counter trend. But this situation is because it's lower than the 720. And the trade that we would be placing would be a sell. That's good for me. That's great. I should have some good momentum coming out of that. So that was a quick, it's only 29 after, and we've actually been able to go through all of our charts and kind of do an analysis for each one. Like I said, it's Sunday night, so we'll have to see what the direction turns out to be for this week. But at the same time, it doesn't take us forever to go through our charts. And it really shouldn't take us too long to go through the charts and to analyze them. I don't like things that are, super long. Analysis that's super long. So, I always on the weekends, I kind of watch some different trading shows, techniques and things like that with some people. And it's just like, if you're teaching a strategy, why is it taking you an hour and a half to teach, to do a video to show people trade? Like, it shouldn't be like an hour and a half long. It really shouldn't. For one strategy, it needs to be simplified. I like simple. I was watching something this last night, I believe it was, about algorithmic traders and quant traders, and they're talking about how the vast majority of them lose. So it's not easy. It's not easy, to put together the algorithm so that it trades. But I think because quants are very smart. Of course, if they're going to MIT or something, and they're just a math genius, they're gonna be those people that are that, and they're going to have the brain power to create these more complex algorithms, and and process like statistics and all that type of thing. They're just built for that. Their brain is built for that. The vast majority of us are not those people. We're not really built for that. So there are a lot of people I think with maybe delusions of grandeur, and I think they bite off a little more than they can chew, and and then everybody wants to be a quant trader or whatever. It's like the in thing to say that makes you seem like you're really smart. But all it really is just setting up an algorithm and trading with an algorithm. Pretty much the definition of it. So you don't have to be that smart to do it, but you do need to understand the parameters. You do need to test a lot. You need to know exactly what the conditions are where you want to buy and sell. And then you can get into start creating your robot and testing and all that type of thing. So, it's more than just a name. And it's a definite skill set that you have, because you have to have some programming skill as well too. So, it's definitely more than a name. I don't give myself that title because I just don't. I feel like it belongs to individuals who are a little more cerebral than me. Even though I do have my entries and I understand, I've created my own, kind of algorithms, I guess, in my programming and all that I've done for my auto traders, and they work. I still just don't take the title. I would be hesitant to say that I'm a quant trader, though I probably am in some ways, so, and I probably will be more so as the future goes on. So I don't know, maybe I'll take on that as part of, what I do. Um, but I'm really not that anxious to do it. I just know what I do, and I know when it works and when it doesn't, and then how to guide the ship to where it needs to go. That's pretty much what I know. So, the title's not important to me, and it doesn't, I don't need to have these complex formulas to trade. The market does three things: it goes up, down, and sideways. I just need to know which one it's doing, right? And I need to know which one it's been doing for a long time, and the one that it should continue to do. And once I know that, you almost can't miss, especially if you get into a trending market. If you know what the trend is and you're in the trending market and you know what the trend is and you hit that, you can make money actually for months in the same direction, because you know what direction you're going. That's it. At some point it's going to come to an end, but those nice long runs when monetary policy is changing or it's pushing one direction or another, then, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I don't shoot fish in a barrel. I've never done it, but I'd imagine that, it's not like they're in a lake or something like that. They're confined. So it's like pulling the pips out of confined place, dropping your net in and just, decimating the population of pips. So, so that doesn't take a huge amount of, mathematics to understand that. You can take somebody who, if they understand the patterns and they see it, you could take somebody who's not, hasn't graduated high school, high school or even college, and they can do it. It's just consistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I got it. I've been, like I said, I've been gone for like hours. And so, I just got a chance to come back and do the show. Come check us out on the morning daily market overview show. And then we'll talk about what the fundamentals are and where the market's going at that point in time. The futures are not really worth mentioning right now, but I'm sure they will be in the morning. All right. Once again, this is Derek with iLi Academy, and thank you for tuning in to the Trading the Tech Show. Have a great one. Bye-bye.